Hey, Jenny, what's so great about beer?
Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Welcome. You are listening to Beer Talk Radio, the only craft beer podcast in the business section. I am your host, Jenny the Greek, the queen of beers, la reina de cerveza, the Khaleesi of craft, the Bourdain of brews, the Cardi B of ABV, pourer of pilsners, and lover of local dives. Make sure to visit the Beer Talk Radio website at www.beertalkradio.net. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please send me an email, jenny@beertalkradio.net. And if you're a fan, you can be on the show as well. Just click the link in my show notes, leave me a voicemail, and I'll put you on the following episode. Let's drink. For today's episode, I've been wanting to do this episode for so long. I've been wanting to do it since season 1. It was actually my first idea for a beer pairing episode, but I never really got around to doing it the way that I want to do it. So today is the day that Beer Talk Radio finally presents its chocolate and beer pairing. This class is so intense. I'm even doing it in 2 parts. And for today's part 1, I do have a very special guest who's joining me for this tasting. You guys know him, but I'm not going to introduce him quite yet because right now it is time for the dog to drop shit on the floor. Right now it is time for it's time for class to begin. Why am I teaching a beer and chocolate class? Well, it's actually one of the things I'm most passionate about because I spent a lot of time early in my career working with raw chocolate, learning about cacao, and I wanted to forward some of that knowledge to you. And then I also wanted to try various brands of beer with a particular chocolate company that I think is doing a great job. Showcase to you things that you can do at home, things that you can do for someone you love, something you can do to kind of bring friends together. And most importantly, if you are a chef, if you own a bar, if you own a restaurant, this might be a way to do some upselling on your menu. If you can partner with a cool chocolate company that'll give you a great price, why not have a chocolate night? You know, why not have a tap takeover with a bunch of, and pair it with chocolate? I think it could be a fun money-making idea that will draw customers in and open customers' eyes as well as their palates to understanding how much fun beer can be even in the dessert arena. So let me just back it up. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to take you guys back to 2010. 2010 is when I first started working with raw chocolate. Now, the chocolate that I was creating at the time, this is back in LA. God, this is so long ago. It's 10 years ago. I started working with raw cacao because I was very interested in the raw food movement and the health benefits of raw food. And through that, what I learned is that cacao in its raw form, not Hershey's, not Snickers, not that kind of chocolate. I call that crap chocolate, but good chocolate, real chocolate. It is full of antioxidants. As a matter of fact, cacao has the highest concentration of antioxidants in any food known to man, including green tea, acai, and blueberries, spinach, garlic. It's the most super of all the superfoods, and most people don't know that. A lot of the reasons that chocolate has gotten a bad name is mainly because European style chocolate, which we're going to get into in just a few moments, has taken over the industry, and it's loaded with sugar and fat. And most people, in my opinion, most Americans may not really have the real chocolate experience. So when I started working with raw cacao, I was making raw cacao truffles. I made 6 different flavors of them, which I'm not going to give away, because if I ever decide to open that business again, I don't want my competitors knowing what I do. I want to dominate the market, not compete. And my flavor profiles were pretty amazing. But cacao comes from an actual bean, and the bean is very similar in flavor and aroma as a coffee bean, except it's maybe 3 times the size of a coffee bean. That bean comes from a pod, which is very similar to a tamarind pod, where you can just crack the thing open and it almost looks like a football or a papaya on the outside, but you crack it open and you can shake all the beans out. Cacao has been growing in Central and South America for the last 5,000 years. It was only until the 1600s when the Dutch started importing raw chocolate into Europe and started creating the flavor profiles that we generally know as, milk chocolate today. I don't want to turn this into a racial political issue, but like many things in the culinary industry, what is considered to be quality tends to be what is Eurocentric. For example, there's this idea in the world that the French are supposed to make the best food in the world. Personally, I disagree. I think the Japanese make the best food in the world. I would rather work for a Japanese chef than a French chef any day of my life, and I think that there is more complexity in Japanese cooking. Why French cooking is held in such high regard, I don't know. And the same is true for chocolate. The cacao tree does not grow native to Europe. So it's very interesting to me how when you say, German chocolate or Dutch chocolate or Swiss chocolate, people raise their eyebrows as if somehow the Europeans are expert in using this ingredient. But when I started my company, what I wanted to do is make sure that we were really honoring where raw cacao came from, Central America and South America. So I was using it in its raw form. I was not adding any milk to it, no dairy. I wasn't adding any sugar to it, and I was creating these other flavors. I was binding it with coconut oil, so it was really soft, like a truffle or a ganache. It was easy to eat. It was pleasurable. It was easy to spread. It had the consistency of Nutella, but a little bit thicker, and I would kind of form them and shape them into chocolate truffles of different flavors. I would add different nuts. I would add different spices to it, because today the closest thing that we have to that is Mexican chocolate. And Mexican chocolate, when you see a brand called Abuelita, which is I think an octagonal or hexagonal yellow package with an old lady on it. When you see the Abuelita, they sell it in all the stores. That is real Mexican chocolate. It's mixed with sugar and cinnamon and salt, and it's not incredibly sweet, but it is a little bit sweeter than it should be, but it's not incredibly sweet the way European chocolate is. So that is my little lesson for all of you today. Class is not dismissed, but I just want to encourage you to explore the raw chocolate world and get away from the European chocolate brands, which is ironic because I do have a European chocolate with us, but I'm going to explain why I chose this European chocolate in just a second. My guest joining the class today is someone that you've met and heard from before, Mr. Jim Murray of Stereo Freakout. He has been on the show, I think, twice now. Once, but then I went and I covered Mayfest, so you got to hear his voice during that podcast when he was wrapping up the show and thanking everyone. So today, Jim is here with me. The chef and the bartender are going to give you a chocolate pairing that is going to blow your mind. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Very nice to be here. Thank you for having me back. Thank you for going to Mayfest. And yeah, the first time we did the interview was at the Englander, the pub in San Leandro. So I have tried quite a few beers in my life, and I am looking forward to trying these hand-selected beers that Miss Jenny the Greek has prepared for us, and some tasty chocolate here. It was cool hearing about the history of the cacao, now I want to go to Central and South America and try some real cacao. Yeah. And Mexican hot chocolate is some of my favorite. I do like the Abuelita Mexican hot chocolate. That stuff is super tasty. So looking forward to trying these beers. And thank you for having me back on the show. It's I know it's tough to sit around and drink beer and eat chocolate, but I'm to suffer through this. So thanks.
You are. You're going to be in a food and ABV coma when we're done today. It will. You mentioned that you like Abuelita and Mexican hot chocolate too. How would you describe the difference between Mexican chocolate and how that's presented versus how European chocolate is presented in the market?
Well, in the market, it's definitely not represented nearly as much. The Abuelita chocolate, the Mexican hot chocolate, it is definitely not as sugary, and it's got a little spice to it. It's got a little kick. I like the cinnamon. It's super nice. It reminds me of, have you had the Drake's? They had that Coco Caliente beer a couple of years ago. So it was like a chocolate stout with chipotle pepper in it. So it had a little spice, a little back end on your throat, and not everyone could take it, but it had some heat. It was delicious. It was super nice.
That's what the food pairing idea is all about, is being adventurous, trying different combinations. Chocolate and garlic, I probably wouldn't do, but there are certain recipes that it works for in a savory dish, like one called mole, gallina de mole, or pollo en mole, which is something that you can find at a handful of Mexican restaurants. Adding the spice to the chocolate works, and the reason it works is because cacao in its raw form is so bitter. It's almost has the exact same flavor as coffee, the exact same aroma as coffee. And there's so many things you can do with coffee. You can be equally adventurous with beer. I like that you want to go to Central America, so maybe we should all go. And once again, you mentioned wanting to go to Central and South America. You can actually do some food tourism stuff, at least, as far as I know, in Guatemala and like certain parts of Mexico, where you can go visit a cacao plantation. So if we all do go down there, that'd be like the first thing on the itinerary is go find the cacao trees and go out there and see what it's like to see chocolate in its real natural form, before it becomes processed. Contradicting myself as I do, but once again, there's always a reason for everything that I choose. The chocolate that we're going to be working with today or trying today is by a company called Lauker, and I could be mispronouncing it. This is an Italian company. And once again, like I said, I am not a fan of European chocolate companies because I don't think that they do the chocolate justice. But this particular brand makes very, very good chocolate that is not too sweet. And that's why I bought the line of products that they have. We're going to start off with the milk cream product, which is milk chocolate with milk cream and a wafer. It's not dark at all. It doesn't have a deep, deep cacao flavor to it or a deep, dark chocolate flavor to it. But we're going to span the gamut here. We're going to go from light to dark, just like we do with a beer pairing. So we're going to do the same thing with a chocolate pairing. Sound good, Jim?
Sounds fantastic. And this is pretty exciting, too, because I spent a week in Switzerland. And when I was out there in Zurich, some friends of mine, they were like, dude, you got to pick up Swiss chocolate. So I don't remember the brand that I picked up, but I picked up a whole bunch of Swiss chocolate bars and like sent them all back to the States here. I remember Swiss chocolate being super good, but it was pretty sugary. And I'm a big fan of the darker chocolates, and not like 100% cacao and like 90% is pretty kicking. Yeah. But I do like the darker chocolate. So this is going to be really exciting.
And speaking of excitement, there was actually another beer that I chose to go with this, but I just got back from Texas from doing the Beers Giving event with Danny Oliver of Island to Island Brewery and Uncap Soul, which is a magazine, a beer magazine. And I found this, and I've never had a honey rye combination. So I've had meads, and I've had other honey infused beers, like golden ales and like summer ales that had honey in it. but a honey rye combination, because I love like Bullet. So if there's any of that little bite to it, I'm really looking forward to trying this. And this is from Four Corners Brewing Company out of Dallas, Texas. The name of this beer is Local Buzz Honey Rye Golden Ale, 5.2%, 20 IBUs. And it's got, we were all commenting on this earlier, it has the coolest pop top I've ever seen. I think they're trying to make the can more like a glass. So the whole thing opens up, and it's so cool, I almost don't want to open it, but it is a goddamn special occasion. And we are going to be pairing this with the milk cream chocolate from Lauker. And I thought, once again, method behind the madness, why am I picking these two? What goes better together than milk and honey? So that is why I chose it. So it's not just a play on words. It's two flavor profiles that really do go well together. So we're going to see if it works. Let's get in this. That's what I'm saying. They're usually get more down faster.
Dude, that is so great.
Isn't that great? It's coming, girl. I'm not going to make you wait too much longer.
Fifth beer, if you just keep drinking all beers, you're like, this one's great.
I know.
Tastes like beer.
Well, the other thing too, if any of the cans are oxidized, I think I can get the rye out of that. Can you smell that? Because of that like rye weedy taste, it does remind me of like honey nut, like a breakfast cereal a little bit.
Yeah, this would probably be a good way to start your day off. Beer and chocolate.
Beer and chocolate for me.
It seems to take the honey away, and then it really brings out the rye.
I think that my concept works, but I think that because this beer is so flavorful, I should have matched it with something that could kind of match the magnitude of the flavor. Whereas the milk cream chocolate is it's so subtle and it's so polite and it's just so smooth and kind of one note. But you know what? It was just an idea. And it works for me. The chocolate neutralizes the beer. We want the chocolate to enhance the beer. Yeah, I think the beer here overpowers this particular chocolate, but the chocolate neutralizes the power of this beer. So it's another fun way to do pairing. And remember, if you listen to my episode with Tom Young, the Craft Beer Workshop, I talk about pairing beer with food. With three concepts. You have to have three ideas in mind. Beer and food can complement one another. Beer and food can contrast one another, or they can neutralize one another. And I would say this is a neutralizer here. But I'm enjoying the beer by itself. I like the rye taste. I like the bitterness to it. It's a different type of bitterness than a IPA kind of hop or an American pale ale hop. It's like on it's like on an earthier level, but not doesn't have so much like histamine to it, if that makes sense.
This beer, I wouldn't say it's hoppy at all, but it does have some bitterness. And actually, I would say it was I had a different experience where when I first tasted the beer, I definitely tasted the honey and I could smell the honey. And then once I ate the chocolate, the honey disappeared and now I just get a little bit of the bitterness. Not hoppy bitter, but like the rye bitter.
Yeah, it's a different kind of bitter. It's nice.
So it kind of it definitely changes the taste of the beer, and it takes away the subtle honeyness of it. So, because the chocolate is sweet, so that's where all the sweetness comes in. But the beer is pretty good.
Now that I've had this, it makes me want to try to find more honey rye beers if they're out there, or more rye infused beers, because I'm very much enjoying this. As we both know, I'm not an IPA drinker, but I most recently changed my mind when it came Heretic Brewing Company. They kind of blew my mind and showed me a new road to the IPA. In lieu of drinking an IPA type beer, I would try to find more of these honey. For anyone who likes this flavor profile, this is a very well done incorporation of rye as an ingredient.
I would probably try this beer without the chocolate. To really get the full honey part of it too, but it does bring the rye out. And I just want to give props to Heretic for their CHP beer. The chocolate hazelnut porter is one of my absolute favorites. Super tasty, super good.
I have their master. I actually met him at the Hop Chef event at Drake's dealership maybe 2 months ago. So I actually have his info, and I'm going to tell him you said that. Dude, please. Yeah, I think this is the wrong beer for this chocolate, but the concept was there. Guys, if you're out there, you're listening, you want to do a beer pairing, consider a milk-based chocolate with a honey-based beer. Try some different brands of chocolate, try some different brands of beer. I think it's a good combination. It should work together. This was good. This was good. I wish this company wasn't in Texas. But I got a Texas friend now, so I'll just have her ship them to me. So I thought we should move this along into something darker. I said we were going from light to dark, but a nut brown ale is like, it's like a stout underage grandson, if you ask me. Like a stout is like an old man sitting in a rocking chair, mean, bitter, strong, lived life, wise, full of the answers. It's kind of like where we want to be at our own old age. And a nut brown ale is the is like this 16, 17-year-old grandson who comes from that great lineage, but just doesn't quite have enough experience yet. Similar characteristics are there. So for this chocolate, I chose the hazelnut chocolate, and method to the madness, we're going to put that with a nut brown ale. Now, Jim, I debated whether or not to even buy this can because, as you can see, this is the most ugly, disgusting piece of artwork I've ever probably seen on a beer can in my entire life. But we're going to see if we can judge it by the content of its character and not the disgusting label.
You didn't actually completely describe this can. Would you like?
I don't want to.
You don't want to?
You can. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know if I should.
Yeah, just do it.
I should?
Yeah, do it.
Well, I do like the tattoos, but it is a overweight white guy with hella hair, and he's wearing tighty whities, and there's a big brown spot in the middle of his. Yeah, and he's holding some toilet paper, so he's keeping it. Yeah, so he is at least thinking about things. But yeah, we're definitely gonna try this beer because I love trying new beers, and yeah, this will be an adventure.
I think this is an example of shock marketing. Either this beer is going to be really high quality or it's going to be terrible, and they're selling it based on the shock value of this disgusting can. So, by the way, this is called the Brown Note. I think it's a play on words because they're maybe like a pound note, maybe. I don't know. The Brown Note.
And blues, the blue notes, they're like the in-between notes, where you're doing like something, you're playing like in a scale like do, re, mi, fa, sol, and you're doing the in-between notes where you're like da, na, 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 like the blues kind of stuff, the blue notes.
We don't know what the hell it's supposed to be since it's got a tattooed fat guy with muffin top and streak marks in his underwear. That is the fucking artwork. So anyway, the Brown Note, it is coming out of Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. The name of the brewery is Against the Grain Brewery. Even their logo is kind of confusing. I think these people just either really want you to buy their shit or really don't want you to buy their shit. One way we bought it. Literally bought some shit. 5%. Yeah, I figured, nut brown ale should go with a nutty chocolate. So this is an example of complementing beer styles, complementing flavor profiles. So let's get into it. I'm going to crack this one open. Crack. Speaking of crack. Disgusting. I'm scared. Got that nice stouty nut brown, malty, biscuity, Englishy aroma to it. That's a damn good nut brown ale. It is. The mouthfeel, there's not as much body on it. I think this can might be a teeny little bit oxidized, but not very much at all. Let's see if there's a sell-by date on this one. No, it has no sell-by date. But no, the flavor on this is fantastic. Very English.
Yeah, it's like a Sammy Smith's nut brown ale, but more effervescent. But it's light, subtle, smooth, malty, caramelly, and we will see how this chocolate affects it. Chocolate, super tasty.
This particular chocolate definitely has a lot more flavor than just the basic milk cream chocolate that we just had. It is stronger, and I do feel like it does stand up to the beer better.
Yeah, I would say these two flavors definitely complement each other. It's like taking a sip of the beer and eating the chocolate. It just kind of like segues right in, kind of like they're like connected on the same road, which is really cool. Nice. Good call.
I think, yeah, this one works. So, Against the Grain Brewery, you done good with the beer, but your can is disgusting, and I hope it doesn't put you out of business, okay? Jim and I were just saying how effervescent that particular nut brown ale was from Against the Grain Brewery, and I was just saying, that's a unique characteristic for a nut brown ale, and, we're used to some of the other brands out here in California, but I was really impressed with that one.
Yeah, some of our classics that we go to are like the Lost Coast, Downtown Brown. But that also had something that was more reminiscent of, like, I think Sammy Smith's Nut Brown English Ale. And I'm not a big fan of Newcastle, but it was kind of Newcastle-y.
Like enhanced Newcastle. And my favorite nut brown ale is the Moose Drool from Big Sky Brewing Company, which you say that you've had, and you've had that many times. It's pretty popular out here in the Bay Area. It was actually the first beer that I ever drank when I moved up here at the Mucky Duck right off of like Judah by Ocean Beach. Yeah, so that was like the first bar I ever went to when I moved up here. Yeah, and I was at the Mucky Duck, and it was the Moose Drool. But I like this disgusting Kentucky beer. It's disgusting can, delicious beer.
It's just crazy that the first beer you had was from Montana in California, and then you were in one of the hardest reach places in San Francisco, the Sunset District. So, but yeah, Moose Drool is super cool. They also have that what is it, the Billy Goat beer?
I think their brand, they use a lot of animals. So there's a summer golden ale that has a bear on it. There is one with a goat on it. I'm not sure which one. One might be the IPA. I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of fruit and chocolate together. I mean, obviously chocolate-covered strawberries and chocolate-covered bananas are awesome because it's real fruit. But in bar form, in candy form, I don't like fruit and chocolate together. So like those orange chocolates that you break open, I fucking hate those. Raspberry chocolate as a cake, as a pie, as a ganache or a mousse, hell yeah. But I was apprehensive about trying it in a bar form, in a form that is more processed. But this Locher Lacquer company out of Italy did a really good job with the raspberry chocolate. And to pair that, I've got the double raspberry milkshake, and it is Imperial Milkshake Ale. This is coming from Moonraker Brewing Co., and they are out of Auburn, California. It is 8%, so we're going to go a little harder now. And it is made with raspberries, milk, sugar, and vanilla. Jim, these milkshake IPAs and these milkshake ales, what's your opinion of them? They're getting real popular right now.
I haven't tried a ton of them because the idea of doing a milkshake and an IPA together just doesn't sound very appealing. Yeah, it sounds like problems. Yes, it sounds like you're not going to have a good day. But I am intrigued. But yeah, like bitter and milkshake going together, like I'm down to try pretty much anything, but this will be an experience. Raspberry double milkshake, 8%. It is pretty. It is this reddish, almost like a rosé. A lot of breweries, especially Fieldwork, they put all that lactose in the beers now, so they're making them cloudy. They're making them a little sweeter, and I think that they're easier for people to drink because of the consistency, and it's a little sweeter with the whole like kind of segueing into the milkshakey thing with the lactose. So maybe a lot of people are kind of digging them, and maybe just because they're different, but I think the verdict is still out for me with the milkshakey beers. So we'll see how this one goes.
I think it's a trend that is either going to really blow up or it's really going to literally implode on itself. It's something that I think it's a good segue technique for new beer drinkers or new craft drinkers, but I think traditionalists tend to hate this type of stuff. You know, I don't think I'll ever see like a respectable milkshake fruit beer out of a real legit old school brewing company. You're just not. And it's these younger freshman breweries that are being more experimental. It just seems like that. It's a hit or miss, and I think it's something that a company could probably lose a lot of money on. You know, you have to really know your target market to push a fruit beer. But anyhow, let's smell this. Let's taste it. We got nice clean glasses. We all drank our water. Very, very subtle fruit flavor there. It smells really good. It actually smells like a nice body oil or a lotion or a perfume or something. Raspberry type of fruit lotion. But yeah, the aroma is super subtle. The color is gorgeous. Dark, like a dark pink or a very golden kind of maroon there. Oh, no. That's too much raspberry milkshake and not enough beer. It does taste slightly medicinal, but like in a good way, if that makes sense. Like good Robitussin. Very candy-like. It's the aftertaste of it. It's not the flavor of it as it goes down. It's the aftertaste. Let's see if this raspberry chocolate can make it any better for us.
Yeah, I don't know about this. Medicinal, I would definitely say is the word. Like, if you like the flavor of Robitussin and NyQuil, this is the beer for you. But it is strong, so at least you get a little bang for your buck, I would assume.
And 8%.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to taste the raspberry until you keep chewing it a little bit more and you can get into that raspberry wafer center. It's two different levels of raspberry. Now, had I chosen another raspberry beer, we would have had a better experience. For example, Drake's. Actually, the very first beer review that I did in season 2 was for Drake's Raspberry Kettle Sour. Now that was a high quality beer. That one was so freaking good. If I had that Raspberry Razzie Savage Sour with this chocolate, we would all be having a different conversation right now. So it's not the concept that doesn't work. It's just whether or not you find a raspberry beer that has a nice, beautiful, well-crafted natural flavor, or if it's more on the artificial side, which I think that this Moonraker is.
I think the chocolate definitely calms down the beer. And it smells a lot like a rosé. Like it really reminds me of a glass of rosé. And with the chocolate, it tastes more like a wine. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of the 21st Amendment, their rosé, their sparkle. Oh, yeah. Sparkle ale. Yeah, that one's... Yeah. And this tastes totally different than that. Like there's no like tang. This is just like, and it doesn't really taste like raspberry too much. It's just more like medicinal tasting.
What was the song that went with the fucking Flintstone vitamins? Do you remember it? 10 million strong and growing. Don't you remember the 80s?
But no, I know the jingle.
This beer is a Flintstone raspberry vitamin ale. That's what it is. It's just the label's wrong. We didn't put the wrong beer with the pairing. It's just the label's wrong. That's for you to enjoy.
I think if you like this beer, this is a good pairing because it kind of, I think they complement each other. It's got a little bit of like a cotton candy kind of aftertaste. But I mean, granted, I'm not big on cotton candy. I'm not big on milkshakes. I'm not big on sweet, and I'm not big on medicinal, and I don't want to drink my Flintstone vitamins. So this is not necessarily the beer for me. But I think there are people that do like this beer, and this coupling. So I think it works. It just may not be for our palates.
Right. I think we're more savory people and we're more traditionalists in terms of our taste in beer. But for the new, young, hot freshman craft beer class, this is one. And Moonraker, have you seen other products from this company? Because I've seen several, so they must be pretty popular. In a lot of craft beer stores, they have a lot of different products. So they're a company to watch out for. I mean, and it's a solid beer. I mean, it has good mouthfeel to it, good body. It's thick. It's carbonated enough. Yeah, I would like to try some different products from this company and see what else they're doing.
It's really cool doing all this pairing with you because you have your chefing background and the way you're describing the cacao, Actually, listening to you talk about the truffles, I was like, girl, you're talking about truffles, and then you're like, you can't actually taste them because I don't have any. You have these like secret recipes, and I'm like, girl, I love truffles, dude. So next time you make them.
Well, it's funny that I did a chocolate pairing. Well, we did a food pairing for the Beers Giving in Dallas, Texas, with Danny Oliver, and I made truffles. And it might be your lucky day because I actually have half the batch in the refrigerator right now. And I don't make chocolate for anyone. So when we're done tonight, I will send you home with a little sample. This is not something that you can get nationally until Oprah calls me and puts some money in my pocket for my goddamn podcast.
Go to your chair. It's a bag of money.
I was really proud of the chocolate business that I created in LA, but if I were to ever do it again, I wouldn't do it with less than $500,000 in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like before, I just kind of did it, fly by night, entrepreneurial spirit, and that was pretty much all I had. I had a little commercial kitchen, and that was it. It didn't last. I wasn't as successful with it as I wanted to be, but it set me up for being a part of this industry. And it's better that you open a business with no debt and be able to close it with no debt than to open a business with debt and be closing it with debt, which is something that a lot of entrepreneurs go through. So I'm older and I'm wiser now. So if I was to ever start my chocolate company, I've learned from my mistakes, and I would delegate more. I would have a team around me, and that teams are expensive, but I do enjoy making chocolate to this day. So I still make my recipes for time to time, but only for special occasions. So speaking of timing, we were talking about that earlier. So if you hadn't to come today, which is a few days after Beers Giving, I wouldn't have my raw chocolate in the fridge, so you wouldn't even know what I was talking about. And now you get to experience it. So anyway, moving on. So I wanted to kind of neutralize the palate. So we had a nut brown ale with a hazelnut chocolate. We had a raspberry milkshake ale with a raspberry chocolate. Now we're going to take it back down to the milk cream. So we started off with a milk chocolate. We're going to go back to a milk chocolate. This is milk chocolate with cacao cream and a wafer. And this is with the Lost Coast peanut butter chocolate milk stout, which Jim, you brought for us today. You contributed that to the pairing, and that was awesome. I am speculating that this is going to work well because peanut butter and chocolate go great together. Peanut butter and milk, like, a peanut butter sandwich, no jelly, toasted on both sides with some butter. A little cold in the middle, a little crispy on the outside. That reminds me of a delicious dessert snack that one can make for themselves. Yeah, I think this is going to work. So let's give this a go. Tell us more. Since you brought the bottle, why don't you tell us about this bottle?
If I'm just describing the bottle, it's got a cow on it with some peanuts and some chocolate. I actually have never tried this beer. We're huge fans of Lost Coast Brewery up in Eureka, who do the tangerine ale. They do a watermelon. They do the Great Whites. Yeah, the Great White Shark, the wit beer, and the Downtown Brown, which we both believe is a classic brown ale. And I've been staring at this beer for the last month because actually tonight is the first night that I've had beer in the last 2 months because I was in a weight loss challenge with my gym, Power Trip Fitness here in San Leandro. Is one of my favorite gyms. Just got to give a little shout out to those guys. So I'm definitely going to make up for it tonight. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying this peanut butter chocolate milk stout.
This will be fun because ever since Belching Beaver blew up with their peanut butter stout, chocolate peanut butter stout, a lot of companies are starting to follow suit. So let's see what Lost Coast is able to do with this flavor profile. I'm looking forward to it.
Another beer, Lost Coast, the 8-Ball Stout is one of my absolute favorite stouts. Super good. And they have a really cool handle. If you ever see it in bars, it's like a pool cue. And then it's got an 8-ball at the end of the pool cue. It's super cool. Props to Lost Coast.
We love you. And you know what? Not only does Beer Talk Radio love Lost Coast, but almost every other beer influencer or podcaster also loves this company, so they have a great reputation.
You know that they have a Mexican hot chocolate.
I saw it. It's got the little beaver with like a sombrero. It's hella racist. It's like with his little beaver teeth.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just going to drink it here.
All right, so this is got that nice dark cherry cola, Coca-Cola color to it. Ooh, goddamn!
That smells awesome. A lot of peanut butter. It just reaches out and smacks you in the face.
It's balanced, and we were kind of comparing it to we were talking, not talking shit about Belching Beaver, but I like Belching Beaver, but they're hit or miss. I think their Digital Bath IPA, the Deftones one, the Digital Bath, the one that comes in the green can, that was like the only IPA I've ever liked until I found Heretic 2 months ago. I fucking hate IPAs, but that was a really damn good one. We were saying how, there's something about Belching Beaver. Some of their products do have an artificial flavor, and I probably shouldn't divulge this. I'm not going to release my sources. But if you guys listened to my rock and roll beer collaboration with Frolic, which is a metal band that should be in Mayfest, we had tried the Dia de los Deftones beer, Mexican lager, which I love. But there was something about it for like 2 or 3 months. I was trying to pinpoint, it's good, but why does it taste a little bit like Sprite? I said, there's something artificial in that beer. And I got an inside scoop. I'm not going to, I found someone on LinkedIn who works for Belching Beaver, and he told me they don't use lime zest. They don't use lime juice. They use the lime salt that you guys put into fucking margaritas. That's what it is. And there's something else about their peanut butter stout too. It's really good and it's very flavorful. It's the wrong type of flavor. It's an artificial flavor. It's kind of
Just like a liquid Reese's Buttercup, which is great in small doses because you can only eat so many Reese's Buttercups before you die. But yeah, I feel like that was the flagship peanut butter stout. And just kind of rolling back on the peanut butter and making it taste a little more natural kind of thing is what people are doing. And Altamont, I think that they have a good peanut butter stout. And the Nuck and Futs from Track 7, Sacramento, is a good peanut butter stout.
Well, we'll have to try those out. And see, now I'm going to be on a peanut butter stout mission. You know what? This should be an episode, like Battle of the Peanut Butter Stouts, because I think it's something. It's serious. Let's try it with some of this milk cream chocolate. Let's see how this goes together. Jim was asking, he couldn't pinpoint what the spice was on this, and I actually looked closer at the fine print here. There is salt, the bourbon vanilla, so that's probably what's coming through, and spices. So this is a hella high, this is a pretty luxury, it's not a luxury chocolate brand, but it's for European chocolate. This is really multi-dimensional. It neutralizes the chocolate, but it pops out the peanut butter if you eat and drink them together, in my opinion. What do you think, Jim?
I was going to say actually the opposite. It kind of, the peanut butter disappears and it really pops out the milk of the chocolate.
I just ate and drank it in reverse, and I'm going to try it the other way now.
Yes, it depends on the order, right?
Mm-hmm. So I just we saved some of the chocolate, and I took another sip of the beer. So now the beer, I really get the peanut butter, and the beer's not as sweet, but you get the peanut butter taste and the milky taste, and not really the chocolate taste. But they pair well together. They both taste really good, and you can eat them and drink them in any order, and they're both really good. Props to Lost Coast.
They killed it.
You guys are killing it. Mm-hmm. You hath killed it.
So, Jim, our beer pairing is coming to a close here, and we've discussed lots of great breweries, interesting chocolate pairings, and I always like everything, just like in my speeches, I like everything that I do to come full circle. So part of coming full circle is that we are going to end the pairing with our dark chocolate from Lauker. It's the dark chocolate with cocoa cream and wafer. Now, this is not going to be as dark and bitter as like the 60-70%, the more like the Lindor and the Ghirardelli chocolates that, you know, are very popular here in the Bay Area. This is their version of a dark chocolate, so it's not going to be as earthy as I want it, but this is their darkest chocolate that they have in the line. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up with that. Full circle, Monsters Park Imperial Stout, aged in bourbon barrels, Mexican hot chocolate edition. Mic drop. That's how we're going to end the pairing after I just like spilled it on myself. But I think this is going to probably be the most powerful chocolate experience of the night. Let me get a paper towel.
This does look amazing. And it is Modern Times from what I read. Is that correct?
Modern Times, yeah.
Yeah. I got to go by their brewery, I think they have a couple of locations in San Diego. And I went to the one in San Diego, and they're known for their coffee stout. I think that's probably one of their most well-known beers. The place in San Diego was super cool. They had all the paper on the walls, and they had like a huge one of those like pixelated murals that you can't really see if you're too close. You get away, and you're like, oh shit, that's that. Yeah, Modern Times, great beer. So
You talked about rosés earlier. They do a rosé beer too. It's really, really damn good.
I did not know that. And this beer looks thick as mud. Looks like some motor oil.
It literally does look like a syrup or a liqueur. There's almost no carbonation when I poured it, and it is pitch black. Pitch black. Let's go ahead and smell it. Ooh, wait. Now, this is what real cacao actually smells like. As a matter of fact, I have a little bit, and I'm going to go bring it so you can compare.
Fantastic. Cacao!
Happen to have real 100% organic cacao nibs with me. I want you to smell the beer, smell the nibs, and you tell our audience how legit this is.
The only difference is with the beer, you can smell a little bit of the booze in it, and that's probably from the aged in the bourbon barrels. But yeah, they smell very, very close.
So we know that Modern Times, unlike Belching Beaver, really took their time to put legit cacao in its raw form in the beer. Not an extract, not a flavoring. They put the real stuff in there. Doesn't it almost smell exactly alike? Yeah. All right. So let's do this. Right into the danger zone. I heard there's going to be a new Top Gun.
I heard that too.
Ooh, wait. This is not for the faint of heart. This is good shit, though. Wow. This is one of the most legit chocolate beers I think I've had.
But like you said, going full circle, this is a Mexican chocolate imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels, and that's exactly what it tastes like. It's like Mexican hot chocolate in a can with some delicious beer notes. Wow. And it goes through a variety of flavors. And that is definitely a delicious sipping beer. Wow.
It's thick like a liqueur. This is when you know that there has been a lot of love put into the beer and a lot of expense and time put into the beer, because I would say this beer, more than any of the other beers, with the exception of maybe the peanut butter stout beer, this was the most complex. Because your taste are one element of the beer right after the other. So let's open up. I'm eager. Gonna open up that chocolate and see how it goes together.
This beer is amazing. It is super good.
And I've never seen.
What's it, like 10%?
Probably.
It's got some heat.
Dude, 14.2.
What? 14.2? Okay, we're only having one tonight.
All right, let's get into the chocolate part. Now that's dark chocolate. It's subtly dark. It's not, like I said, not like those 60, 70, 80, 90% dark chocolates, but
It has a really good balance on chocolate to cacao to sugar ratio.
I'm very much enjoying this together. This is exactly what I was hoping for and what I was envisioning when I bought this can. I got this can from this craft beer store. I the name escapes me. It's on 24th and Mission. It's kind of tucked away behind the BART station. I had to have it. And I think this can was like fucking, I paid a lot of money for it. I know I paid at least $7 or $8 for this 12-ounce can, but you can see why. A, it's 14.2%. B, anything that is barrel aged is going to be a little bit more expensive. And then, yeah, I think this is a limited edition or maybe a seasonal. I can't find it anywhere else. I've never seen it since that day, but goddamn, I am happy I bought it. That is a fucking amazing Imperial Stout. I think that might be better than the Old Rasputin, but I'm not going to go that far because I love my Old Rasputin. It's a different kind of beer, but it's got so many levels to it.
Yeah, and after eating the chocolate, which is super delicious, and then taking a big sip of this beer brings out a lot of the spiciness and that sweet chocolatiness, excuse me, kind of goes away. It doesn't taste super strong, this beer, because sometimes stouts, especially aged in the bourbon barrels, all you taste is booze and all you taste is whiskey. And this one, I would guess it would be like 10 or 11%. You said it was 14.2, so that is dangerous. It's super smooth. And the chocolate paired with this beer is an amazing pairing. It's like taking something that's already an A+ and then like adding another plus on there. Yeah. Wow. That is fantastic. Good job, Jenny, Queen of Beer. So aptly named.
And now the Queen of Chocolate. Little did you know. Yeah, I would say this one, the peanut butter and the nut brown, just in my opinion, for my preferences, those were definitely very successful pairings. But you could take the same concept, use a totally different chocolate or a totally different beer, and have a completely different experience. So I am incredibly impressed with this beer. This is probably one of the best Imperial Stouts I've ever had. I never thought I would say that. I'm very loyal to Old Rasputin, as you guys know. And I am also a big fan of the 1050 by Oscar Blues. Have you seen it? Yeah, the 1050, it's like a $17 Imperial double barrel aged or some shit. It is amazing. It is a very expensive can. I used it for my oyster beer batter in my beer pairing with oysters episode. So you'll have to check that out. We might have to do like a battle of the peanut butter stouts, and then we'll do a battle of the we all need to detox and drink and hydrate before we start again. But I think I might even go so far as to have to do a battle of the Imperial Stout episode.
You'd have to do two different ones. You'd have to do Imperial Stouts, and then you have to do like bourbon barrel aged. But I mean, old Rasputin though is super classic. It's amazing. But I've never had an Imperial Stout with Mexican spices and chocolate in there. So this is it is super good. I am very impressed. Props Modern Times. I look forward to visiting you again, hopefully sometime soon. And Jenny, if you can find more of this beer, I would appreciate that.
You know what? I'll go back to that market and see if I can find it again. But I don't think this is one of their year-round options. I really don't. I don't see this anywhere else. I think it was just I got lucky type of thing. Literally. For my listeners, if you want to get lucky and you ain't getting lucky, invite your lady over and give her the beer and chocolate experience, and I'm sure she'd be happy to return the favor with a different kind of experience. I know if a man brought me beer and chocolate and showed me a variety, like it would be an instant panty dropper for sure, no doubt. This is all love, there's love in the chocolate. These breweries, they're putting love in their beer. You can really taste it. I respect that.
A lot of respect. Yes, I can definitely taste all of the love that went into this beer.
Just got to emphasize, this does not taste 14%. Drake's, they had their Super Imperial Stout. It was like, I think it was called the Void, and that was like, it was like 17%. And that was a little hard to palate. But it was delicious. It's just like you could drink like a thimbleful and you're like, dude, I'm done. But this is a beer that you could sip on for a long time. And yeah, with the chocolate pairing,
these two go hand in hand. Very nice.
I think I'm going to have to save that as my nightcap, so I might have to hold that back. You guys can't finish that beer. That's mine. Jim, give us any updates that you have about yourself or the band or the Englander or anything you want to share.
Well, I think the last time we caught up was for Mayfest. It was our second annual Mayfest at the Englander. And believe it or not, that was in May. And so we're hoping for a third annual Mayfest coming up in 2020 with more bands, more beers, more local breweries, more local talent, comedians. And we will keep you posted on that once we get more details. Stereo Freakout has got some new music coming out in the beginning of next year. We've got 6 songs that we recorded out at Downfall Studios, which was in San Ramon, but the dude just actually moved to Switzerland. And so he's probably out there eating chocolate and hanging out in the mountains and having a good time. But new music is coming out. Englander should have some new beers for the Christmas season. And I think that's about it. Things are going well, and I am enjoying beer and chocolate. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for breaking your diet for for me, all of us. Give us any contact information, the links to the music, the social media, and the website, please.
So you can find news at www.stereofreakout.net. We do have an Instagram that we check pretty regularly. You can find us on Facebook. We have music on Spotify. You can buy our music on Apple Music and iTunes. And our Englander video has been getting a lot of traffic lately. So you can go on YouTube and just put in Stereo Freakout Englander and you can watch our latest video. We also have our Bad Dog video that we filmed at Lake Chabot in San Leandro. So check out some video action. We have a lot of fun. Look forward to hearing from everyone. Check us out and we'll get back to you. Word.
I am so excited for all the things you have going on for yourself. The Mayfest was very impressive to me, and in any way, shape, or form that Beer Talk Radio can be involved, you have my support, and you have the support of the people that I'm working with now, and anything else that I can do for you, I have your back.
Wow, I definitely have your back. Thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation. I look forward to taking you up on that. And that sounds amazing because it's all about networking. It's all about supporting your local music, your local artists, your local people that are just trying to do their thing and get up there in life. And it's not easy. And I really appreciate you bringing me into that circle. So thank you very much. And sorry, one thing I'd also like to say is we only did a couple of shows, but I have another metal project called Tamarack. And it features Seth Bowden from the Englander. Yeah, the Demon. And he is working on his 5th album. He's got a band called Temujin that he's been working on for like 12 years. It's globally conscious black metal. And he is like super into the scene and he is super creative. He's working on a documentary. Yeah. He's working on a couple of books. He's super, super conscious and super into the scene and super into good music and good people. And he's amazing. And it's really cool to have him sing with Tamarack. So that's our little side band. We did 3 shows. We've got 5 or 6 songs. So we may be putting that out in 2020. So look for that. And I just want to give props to my boy Seth Bowden from Temujin.
And Seth, I know also from the Englander, wonderful customer service, sweet guy, one of those peoples you want to have as an employee and hope that they never quit, just like you, Jim. So thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Seth, too.
One time I was outside of England and I thought that I saw Rob Zombie, the fucking zombie man, but it turned out to be Seth, the fucking demon Bowden. And I look forward to seeing him again.
I think we'll wrap up the show on that. And happy beer and chocolate to all of you in podcast land. Please try this at home. Try it with your friends. Try it on a date. Try it in your businesses. Try it in your tap rooms. Let me know how it goes. You know, come up with some pairings and let me know how it sells. Let me know if it's a profitable idea for you. Email me at jenny@beertalkradio.net. And that concludes this week's episode of Beer Talk Radio. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment and rate on iTunes, and that will help other people find the podcast. If you are interested in receiving one of my Street Team swag bags, please visit my website, www.beertalkradio.net. Enter your rapid fire questions and your name into the subscribe area, and I will send you one. If you're interested in being on the show, I'd be happy to put a clip of your voice and your commentary in the following episode by leaving a voicemail. The link to the voicemail is in the show notes. And if you have any questions for me or past guests, I'd be happy to get those answered for you. Send me an email at jenny@beertalkradio.net. Thanks for drinking with me, and have a good one.